Hey everybody, it's Cameron from the Gaming Cooperative. We're taking a look at Roadwarden today. Another offering from the Humble Bundle this month. Seems interesting. I don't know too much about it. It looks like sort of an RPG text-based adventure game with lots of story-based stuff. It's only like $11, but it's out from Humble Bundle, so it seems interesting, and I thought we'd take a look at it. Let's see. Everyone knows to stay away from the wilderness. Most people would never risk a lonely journey. Roadwardens not only accept the struggle, they embrace it. They deliver messages, assist merchants, burn human corpses, oh my, and, if possible, get rid of the beasts and highwaymen, if possible. They live on the road, die young, or retire early. It's a dangerous job, but a respectable one, and it pays well. Let's see. I still have my doubts, or I leave the safety of the city walls. Our first choice. Let's boldly go. Okay, please select the difficulty mode. This choice can't be altered later on. We'll obviously go with standard. 40-day limit. Okay. Regular rules set. For those familiar with RPGs, okay. Focused on the story, no time limit, more cash. Some quests are more forgiving. 30-day time limit, increased nighttime damage, oh my gosh. Returning Roadwardens. We'll do standard, just to take a look at it. As per usual. Here we are. Our first glance. The wall is still standing. There are no wolves around. No stench of blood. Good signs. Oh god, this is going to be a reading heavy game. That's fine. This should be the place you're looking for. You were supposed to meet with a group of soldiers, but you hear no voices, no sounds of labor. The gate is ajar, but the camp isn't safe. It may keep away the goblins and pebblers, but not beast folk nor trolls. And the night is near. Your palfrey breathes heavily. It had a long day. We're mounted. Let's not waste time. It seems abandoned. Alright, your heavy boots hit the ground, and the pain of the long ride finally catches up with you. Hold on, let's maybe turn the music and ambient down a little bit. It's a bit intense. Cool. Return. See, your heavy boots hit the ground and the pain of the long ride finally catches up with you. You stretch up, bringing your back and legs comfort. All you want now is a table, a decent chair, and a nice mug of beer, and some warm stew. With any luck, your axe won't be needed here. This is unlikely. Take care of yourself. If you're hurt or exhausted, some actions won't be available to you. The weaker you are, the higher the chance you'll die in combat. Ayaya. Did we just take some damage? Or this is vitality overall, so we might already be just tired. Okay, I approach the gate, ready to walk in. We should probably be a little bit more stealthy, but there you go. If it's a military camp, it doesn't look the part. Plenty of wasted space. The fire pit is cold. Two people are sitting at the table, tired and disheartened. They are looking in different directions, paying no attention to one another. One of them is holding a cup. They're probably a bit shell-shocked, seems like. Walk towards them. Takes him a few breaths to glance in your direction. The first person greets you with a wave of his hand. There are bags under his eyes. His beard is messy. Despite his simple shirt, he's wearing durable, decent boots. A mace with a head covered in iron hangs at his side, but he doesn't reach for it. I take a look at the second soul. Just like you, she's wearing a gambeson, but hers is a bit loose, as if she took it off a corpse. Her head is shaven, as if she's protecting herself from flesh-eating bugs. Her eyes are weary, yet kind. She smiles. Considering the squad was sent here half a year ago, these two surely look the part, though there should be more of them. 8, you believe. I'll ask first. You wonder how to phrase your question. Let's be polite, they're tired. Let's see. Whenever you meet new people, you can influence how they perceive you by selecting one of the attributes. Friendly, supportive and cordial. Playful, joke or witty comment, probably not warranted per se. Distant, intimidating, or vulnerable. Let's try to be friendly, I guess. Playful might lift their spirits, but they're clearly tired. I was hoping to meet with your lieutenant. Could we talk for a bit? The woman lets out a loud sigh, dusts off her gambeson, and steps toward you, but she pays little attention to the sword at her side. We most definitely can, you and I. Though holding this rank is still somewhat new to me. Are you a messenger? Did you lose your mount? She observes you with curiosity. Or are you looking for help? I'm your new Roadwarden. My horse is waiting outside. Really? The swordsman certainly leans forward. That explains how you got here in one piece, all by yourself. You better bring your beast here, heads, Lieutenant. We have no hay, but I bet it dreams of dropping its saddle. A long pause. I'm Tulia, by the way. She reaches out her hand. Shake her hand. I'm me. I should wash myself first. No, come on, it's fine. Leto's fine. Game. Just game. Should we go with a full formal name? Game's fine. Confirm. Her grasp is confident. The shake is slight. Just keep your horse away from the tents. She steps away. We don't need to smell its dung. True. There is this one issue. The soldier in the shirt also rises to his feet. We've no tent spare. You'll have to use a blanket or something. I should get used to sleeping on the ground anyway. As you walk through the grate, your mount looks around and snorts anxiously. Not many humans could ride a horse. It's not only taller than you, but also bulky, as heavy as it is strong. You can get in the saddle with a single breath, but most people wouldn't know where to even begin. From every side, it's a wall of flesh. Horses are brought to the Dragon Woods from the conquests in the south. They can trot for a long time, but won't outrun some of the local monsters. Your palfrey needs you to survive, but without it, you too would be lost. Nice. I wanted to feel at ease. My companion, Bucephalus. How dare you? Okay. It takes a few steps towards you, scolding you with another snort. You scratch the bottom of its neck with strength and confidence, just the way it likes it. Humans see useful animals, and even pets, as monsters in disguise. Getting emotionally attached to them is believed to lead humans to their doom. But you know that horses need companionship. This is true. I speak to it gently and lead it to the camp. You end up next to the fire pit, removing the saddle, and makes the horse snicker with relief. You take a couple minutes to examine its back, just in case. While riding through, the riding equipment is not that heavy for such a strong animal. With enough time, it starts to chafe. True. You wish it had something better to eat than shabby grass. You should look for an inn. I need to unpack. You haven't brought that many things, and you lost one of the sacks while fleeing the Crimson Corpse Eaters. Oh my gosh. Worst of all, you have no rope left, but maybe the soldiers could share one. Shouldn't cost more than a dragon bone. I don't know if that's expensive or not. Aside from the travel set, you own very few valuable possessions essential for your trade. Okay, so now we get to pick our class. Want to learn about the 3 classes? Maybe. Fighter, I spent most of my savings on decent combat equipment. I have a fine gambeson, an axe made of steel, and a reliable crossbow with quarrels. I have a talisman that helps me use my powers, as well as an iron axe and a worn gambeson. Or the scholar. I carry writing instruments and alchemical ingredients, as well as an iron axe, a worn gambeson, and a healing potion. Nice. I'm actually tempted for scholar, but I want to learn more. As a fighter, you'll have an easier time in physical challenge. Thanks to your superior equipment and hidden bonuses during dice rolls, you'll be physically more capable than the other classes, what opens unique opportunities during some social interactions. It's the best class for RPG beginners. We might do that then. Though we're not a beginner, we're a beginner to this game. The fighter's weakness is their reliance on physical strength. Your special abilities won't be available if your vitality points drop to 0. Okay, so you can still survive with 0 vitality, but you have 0 vitality. Okay. The mage uses Pneuma, a versatile but limited pool of energy points that can be spent to cast a few humble spells. Magic won't protect you better than a sharp axe, but as a mage you'll be able to heal faster while resting, detect magic in a mysterious area, distract a beast with a simple trick, and find common tongue with other magic users. Using the mage's powers too freely results in having no Pneuma left when you need it most. The scholar will know more about the world's mysteries than you. More than me? I guess. Helping you take advantage of some unusual situations. Your character will impress the locals with its knowledge, and you'll be able to read the sparse written clues about it without anyone's assistance. Scholars struggle with combat more than the other classes, but with enough carefulness and exploration, you'll gain access to alchemical mixtures that will help you escape from many dangerous situations. I think we should definitely go fighter to start. I'll be a fighter. I can now see our possessions. And we have armor, which is partially damaged. Taking hits will damage your armor. You can then fix it in various settlements. Got it. We can open our inventory to see possessions. Soon. You unpack and inspect your belongings. Your water skin isn't pierced. The spare clothes are still here, just in case you take a look, probably, at your wooden bowl and mug, your cape, tinderbox, bandages, food rations, knife. Nothing special or too cumbersome. From time to time, your routine helps you avoid mistakes, but this doesn't make it any more exciting. So we probably lost a bundle with, like, food and non-essentials, like rope. Which is, I would say, essential, but there you go. Open your inventory. Okay, unless you're occupied with another task, you can eat food, drink potions, and use your items from this menu. Be sure to click on each new item you receive, as some of them can have unusual applications. Okay, supplies, food rations. We do have a bit. Dried meat, crackers, nuts, seeds, fruits, and water, which spoil slowly and don't require additional cooking. Nice. Merchandise. In this case, a coin pouch is the only merchandise we have. And this is just some food rations. And this is their category. I get it. A pouch with coins. The city artisans make coins by cutting dragon bones into slices. They are valued by merchants, though rarely used in the countryside. I see. So the dragon bones is the currency, and they're just probably generally unified. Cool. Equipment. A gambeson. A padded defensive jacket made of linen filled with rags. It's the cheapest type of armor, yet surprisingly effective, and as a result, very common. And the travel set. Set contains all sorts of useful tools. A candle? A knife, obviously. Perhaps a whetstone or wax. And a pouch of some variety. An axo. Well-crafted battle axe. Traveling with an axe shows you've learned how to fight humans and human-sized monsters, while having a weapon made of steel makes it clear you're someone to be reckoned with. Yeah, that's right. This is not some club. Also, I can chop trees. A crossbow. Not that they're the same, but anyway. Difficult to make and valued for their usefulness. Crossbows can be used even by an inexperienced traveler and can pierce most scales and armors. Yeah, they're pretty strong. Cool. There you go. Return. Let's return to the soldiers. Hello. They're at the table again, observing your beast and chatting between themselves. Your stomach growls at the sight of them eating out of wooden bowls. One more bowl was put at a previously unused end of the table. You can sit down on a tree log. Let's not ignore. That's ridiculous. It's a cold gruel, a meal eaten in times of hardship. The specific bowl is filled with water, hog millet, and some strange-looking cereals and blueberries. Welcoming you with a meal, even a humble one, is beyond their duty. Soldiers live with and for their companions. Constantly on the move from one part of the realm to another, making sacrifices to protect their group as they face dozens of hideous creatures. Their lives are filled with discipline, hardship, and camaraderie. Roadwardens, on the other hand, learn how to work by themselves. They seldom engage in open combat, patrolling the same roads for years. They help settlements stay in touch, but also maintain commerce, settle down, forge friendships. When there are no laws to follow, they use their own judgment. Different responsibilities, different lifestyles. Ate quickly, not focusing on the taste, and speak with Tulia. Thanks, we ate for free. Nice, our tummy tum-tum got a bit more full. Nourishments. She's focused on her focused and chooses her words carefully. She looks away only when she gathers her thoughts. Looks away. Okay, interesting. I'm afraid I can tell you less than I would like and less than I should. She nods toward the other soldier. As you can see, there's not a lot of us left. At the beginning of summer, there were 8 of us, including our previous lieutenant. 5 are dead, 1 has run away in tears. We are also strangers in this land, and her companion. Any piece of information may help me do my job. The man leans forward, his legs shake nervously. He sounds like a kid asking a bard to sing one more story, tell a joke, or do a magic trick. Whatever it takes to escape from boredom. His untrimmed beard hides a much younger face than you originally thought. What do the officials tell you? I expect not much. No soul governs these lands. We can be forthcoming. They gave us food and we're not dying from it yet. I share what I consider to be relevant. You tell the soldiers how little guidance you received since this area is too far away from Hovlavan. Sure, Hovlavan. To keep it under control. You were warned that it's untamed and unknown. Who knows how many villages, bandits, or monsters may be found in these unmapped hills and forests. From time to time, new people come here to look for boundless opportunities. Most of them never return. Do they turn to walking corpses, or find what they're looking for? No soul could tell me, so I was looking for your guidance. The lieutenant drinks from her cup and crosses her legs, ankle on knee. Be careful with that one. It'll strain your anterior ligament. Anyway, seeing her chair makes you doubt she'll ever find a comfortable position. I see. Where should we start? We can ask about supplies in a bit. We should probably know our immediate surroundings and ask about like the camp, and we could go on from there. Anything I should know about this camp? The story is brief. Some merchants built a camp to have an extra stop for mules and donkeys, just between the inn and the southern villages. There's plenty of grass here and a pond nearby. When the peninsula grew more dangerous, the camp stood abandoned, from time to time serving as a shelter for travelers. The bandits came here in spring, further paralyzing the exchange of information between the northern and southern settlements. Since these highwaymen are no more, the situation may reverse. Time will tell. You can sleep here wherever you want. The man concludes their tale. Though I don't expect to wake up without pain in your back. Oh, yeah. We can ask about the previous Roadwarden, I suppose. Julia takes a deep breath. Aren't you a bit late for a rescue mission? We haven't heard from him in almost half a year. The soldiers speak for a bit between themselves, trying to get their story straight. They confirm that he had stopped by their camp a few times, but stopped showing up at all in early summer. The bearded soldier starts to scratch the table with the tip of his knife without looking at you. I don't remember his voice. Always busy, drowning in things to take care of. He would sit somewhere, sharpen his sword, fix his loud mail, clean clothes, write notes on the wax tablet of his. Yep, and leave us at dawn. Unlike us, Asterion never gets bored. Tulia lets out a joyless chuckle. He's secretive, but some of the locals speak about him warmly. Maybe he just doesn't like us. Sounds like you're not sure if he's dead or not. If anyone knows, they won't tell us. Maybe someone's keeping him in the basement, the man carves with passion. We haven't seen him, or his Saurian. It's probably like a lizard mount type. Something ate them, I bet. The officials have hired you, right? They don't expect him to return. Richer Roadwardens often use four-legged meat-eating saurians as their mount. Yes, or carnivorous beast. They have to be tamed and trained since they're hatching, but, unlike horses, can easily defend themselves from many monsters. At least your palfrey is fast and reliable, and won't suddenly sink its teeth into an innocent passerby. Do you know what he was looking for? Maybe he left you a message? Neither of us had any insight into his dealings, says Tulia. My predecessor left me no clues. We also took a look at Asterion's stuff. Wait. She raises her open palm. I almost forgot. She stands up and heads to a nearby tent. He has kids in a village near Hovland. Hovlavan. I'll never get it, but maybe I will. I was planning to take his things there. A pouch and a second spear, a decent bow, some potions, quite a treasure. She glances at you, but I would much prefer to bring them the truth about their father. So you want me to find out what happened to him in exchange for his stuff? Here's the catch. She just left the hilt of her sword. We fired a messenger to ask the commanders for further orders. Since she hasn't returned and you know nothing about her, she either ran away or something happened to her. She sighs with resignation. We're meant to stay here until fall. What do you think? Come see us, tell us what you've learned about the man, and we'll get back to Hovlavan together. You think about your real mission. You were planning to return to Hovlavan in the early fall anyway. If he's alive, I don't think he's going to be happy about me taking away all of his possessions. True, but he's considered dead. I doubt he'd begrudge you anything. And who knows, he may just find his shell lying on the roadside tomorrow. He wears mail, uses a spear mostly, maybe 5 feet tall, but stout. Long red beard, short hair, pale face, rarely smiles. Pale face, even down here? I guess it's still comparative, right? She glances at her companion, but after he adds nothing, she sits down and stretches out her legs. So, find out what happened to him. Dead, alive, left, just let me know. Sounds fine. What should I know about the peninsula? Seems good. A natural progression there. I'll tell you what I know, and you'll be the judge, says the lieutenant. How long did it take for you to get here from the city? On a decent palfrey, I'd guess it would be 3 or 4 days. When you confirm, she continues. From here, you can reach the coast in about a day, as long as you don't make too many stops. Do you know the situation? Why no ships can get here? You nod. This sea route allows Hovlavan officials to keep in touch with the coastal villages, collect taxes, move the soldiers, collect lumber, deliver tools, but maintaining order on a wild coast such as this one is like filling the ocean depths with coins. Because of the rocks, you can hardly stop a ship 5 miles from shore, and boats can't get much closer. Oh my god, very rocky. She nods. I don't know much about fishing, but there's not that many people living by the shore, and they don't crave to stay in touch with the city folk. As she pauses, her companion carries on. No soul from the north ever came to the camp, but when we did travel to the roadside inn, Pelt of the North, they were happy to trade, and play dice. Why not just stay at one of the settlements? The man clears his throat. I mean, you know, we're to guard this road. This camp is our post, and well, he turns toward Tulia. She lowers her voice. Don't take it the wrong way again, but are you a devout soul? Ah, we now get to choose our piety. Like most city folk, I believe that people should unite their strength to overcome the threats of nature and dark magic. Everyone will be judged for their good and evil deeds. Part of the United Church. Interesting. For many years, I've supported a monastery that does its best to advance mankind's spiritual growth, artistry, herbalism, and magical research. Follow the teachings of an order of truth. From a small village. For me, freedom of shell, pneuma, and soul are the main virtues of life. My community is unique and independent, and so are its members. I have a place in my fellowship. Interesting. I have a strong connection to nature and spirits and follow the path of my ancestors. Some of my beliefs may be considered sinister and treacherous by the city folk. You'd probably call me a pagan. Oh my gosh. There's no evidence of the right's existence, and all the mystical tales are explained by magic. No, I'm not. We just get to pick now. Should we come for the city? I don't have any particular draw to any of these, per se. I guess this one's the most neutral. This is more sort of magey type, so maybe not this one. I don't really understand what this means. And this is fine. But maybe not the best for a brand new playthrough. Or shall we be agnostic? Good question. I feel like this is the sort of safest option, followed by maybe this one. It's a good question. This is probably the most safe. Should we just do this one to start? Sure. The United Church. Why not? A fellow unite, the man smiles. Though this land, it won't bring you much good. At least we can discuss the topic freely, adds the lieutenant with a barely visible smile. Let's get into it. The people here are disquieting. Every few words she taps the table with her finger. The traditions won't help them negotiate with the officials. Here, she starts to draw a line with her index finger as if she's pointing to an invisible map. The peninsula is connected with roads, like a big circle. In the northwest, you'll find a weird village at a bog. It's not exactly pagan, I don't think. It even has a priest who claims to be an eremite. You nod. She means a fellowship. They do crazy shit. Her companion chips in. They use the dead to cut down trees and dig in soil. I once saw it. I beg to never return there. Necromancy. Vile or useful? I see. You've heard tales of such as this one since you were a child. If an isolated settlement managed to survive without a city's influence, its customs and traditions grow more and more alien. Every generation learns how to adapt to the dangerous conditions they have to deal with, and the rustic pagan traditions muddy their river of faith. Interesting. The United Church often warns its members against the crazy druids, necromancers, and blood mages, the bringers of doom, the traitors to humankind. Now hold on. Just because they do it a little different. Yeah. Were you able to speak with these necromancers? Are they just farming, with the dead? Is that okay still? How about the east? Any monster worth mentioning? You can see we're not eager to go there if we could avoid it, the lieutenant chuckles. Maybe they'll be more welcoming to a Roadwarden. The roads are dangerous with little to no shelters. People need your help. The man in the shirt turns a bit and points a finger to the northwest. If you're headed to the undead village, you'll get to an inn first, and soon. Tulia nods. Pellet of the North is a safe place. You can talk with the innkeeper or the guards. Ask them about the road. And how about the east? Any monsters worth mentioning? She stares off across camp. Let's say about the east first. Hard to tell. We went there only once. There are hills, forests, rivers. We saw a tunnel sculpted in leaves and branches, but we didn't enter it. Wilderness all around. A tunnel. Very interesting. Any monsters worth mentioning? Anything that could catch my mount? We saw all sorts of beasts. The man starts to count on his fingers. Goblins, treants, cats, large and small, runners, howlers, wolves, spiked boars, mouth-lorn eaters, griffins. But we managed to stay away. Some could catch up with most mounts. Tulia glances at her companion. Though a palfrey should be fine, the trees are so tall that flying creatures keep to the coast and mountains. There's not that many humans around, and the animals are busy fighting amongst themselves. They fight more for food than territory. The soldier cracks his knuckles. Don't provoke them and ride fast. Just count on luck. That's all I need to know. Okay. I'm afraid we can't do more for you. We can see about a rope. Maybe that's like the last thing we ask. What was your squad's mission? Lieutenant looks into your eyes. You know, the usual. Making the road safe, keeping people alive. I explained that it may be important for me to know what they have tried to accomplish. I can't really tell you. Let's just say it's been nice to have a reliable outpost somewhere nearby, a place where you can always find a group of fighters willing to protect you in the name of the law. She tilts her head back. Now, if you have any other questions... Okay, so, not a whole lot. This may answer this question as well. So what happened to the squad? Bandits happened and monsters. A strong band, though. His companion chips in. When we got to... I keep wanting to say chimes in. When we got to the peninsula in spring, we saw some people living in this camp. The lieutenant decided to avoid it, and look for an inn. We had to travel through the night for a bit. A bearded soldier scoffs, and then crosses his arms, but she carries on. If he had decided otherwise, we would have all died that day. The innkeeper explains that the camp is a trap, and the armed ones pretend to be soldiers. Stay there at night, lose everything you have. Sounds like slave hunters. Tulia sighs. Very much so. They killed some, took others away. Who knows where. They were letting the Northerners go, hoping to avoid their wrath. It kind of worked, adds the soldier. We asked them for help, but they refused. We had to clear the entire camp on our own, and that's why 3 of our people died. Don't exaggerate, it's not like the lieutenant didn't make a mistake. He wanted to get rid of them and take over their camp, but we didn't know our enemy well enough. We were outnumbered, and they had an ice mage among them. She looks at you. At least we cleared the road, saved lives. You mentioned monsters as well. Excuse me. Nothing that would surprise you. Those of us who survived the skirmish were young, too inexperienced to spend a summer in this place without a good leader, and they didn't trust me. One of them got caught by a treant, another one ignored my orders to perform some sort of ritual hunt, so a werebear tore her to pieces. The last one tried to act tough, didn't tell us that he had cuts in his hand while cleaning his gambeson. We had to cut it off, and he was so ashamed that he decided to walk north, find a new life, disappear. Idiot. What a colorful journey. The man tries to drink from his mug, but it's empty. Well, you've made this place safer. To some extent. Barely. Tulia seems tired, and who knows if it's worth the lives and effort. Well, that basically does answer this question. Okay, so I've got to ask him about the rope. So that is, in fact, the last thing. Okay, if you were me, where would you go next? The soldier answers quickly. To the inn, of course. He grabs his empty mug. The one northwest from here. If you can't afford the room, the main hall is free of charge. The locals rarely gather there. The northern road is much more traveled, mentions Tulia. The hunters will tell you about this and that, and you can have your chance to introduce yourself. The innkeeper can listen and knows many souls. Any tips about how to make a good first impression? Avoid cheap jokes. Stick to trade. Don't waste his time. Show him that you can be relied on. Fair enough. I think we've basically answered this question like no one else was going to do it, so she did it. Yep. I've lost my rope. Can you spare one? You're in luck. She heads toward one of the crates and moves aside a large linen sack, revealing a rope. She brings it back and nonchalantly sits it down in her chair. Take it. I was planning to leave it behind. I take a closer look. A fine rope. A regular rope of hemp fibers. 0 doll hairs. Thank. I take it and offer some food in return. Sure. They fed us, we'll feed them. Why not? Tulia leans forward and rests her forearms on her thighs, looking down at a clasped hand that meets your eyes. I normally refuse, but we need some decent food. Every day I'm searching through our groats, looking for some worms and putridity. We forage, but it's not a great spot. Some food rations will brighten up a foggy day. For now, you leave the rope on the table. Tulia, how did you become a lieutenant? I guess that's it. We'll do it. It's not much of a story, honestly. She looks at her hand, which is currently rolling a mug over the table. In the city, there's a strict order of what should I call it. She exchanged looks with her companion, but he can't help her. Well, leadership succession, I guess. Havlavan, chief, selects commanders. They select lieutenants, and they put their soldiers in order of priority. If a lieutenant dies, they get replaced with the next soldier in the line. Is there a successor? No, not exactly. When we fought the bandits, our lieutenant was hit by a slingshot. His boyfriend jumped to help him, but failed to protect either of them from a spell. It was like a ball of ice that hung above them and exploded, piercing their heads, completely avoiding their shield. Really unpleasant. She pauses. You were the third one. Jumping in like that to save a man in the middle of an attack doesn't sound like a wise decision. Well, it is what it is. Let's not worry about that too much. And you were the third one in line, is that right? Basically, yeah. She said without enthusiasm. I didn't plan to become a leader, though. I'll get demoted once we return to the city. I prefer to follow anyway. Alright, it's getting late. Let's prepare for the night. I agree. Tulia sighs with relief, and you do better than Asteroin? Something like that. Archive to reread the most recent text. Okay. Stay vigilant. She makes at you, shattering the mask of a soldier. Thanks for your help. One more thing, if I can. The bearded man approaches you. Can you take the first watch? Splitting time between 3 people makes a great difference. You think for a moment. To fully rest, you need a good sleep. It'll be alright. Sure, leave it to me. Fabulous. You pat your shoulder. It can be calm at least before midnight. Wake me up in a few hours or even earlier if anything happens. I nod. Or shall we be happy to do our part? It's good to be part of a team. Raise morale. You go to the barrel and splash water on your face, which makes you even more aware of how much you need a bath. After the night, it will only get worse. Your horse is already napping, too anxious to lie down. Rest on the feet. Aha! Appearance. Nice. Gross. You don't stand out from the crowd. You don't get much cleaner without a proper bath. Stay tidy to have a better chance to influence others. I prepare for my watch. The soldier in the shirt is eager to guide you. Just observe the area. There's plenty of griffins around, though they won't try to jump over the palisade, probably. But watch out for the apes. They climb up and carry out any foods that they can find. And there's this one really loud were elk that keeps smelling the wall. although it has never tried to get in. He points to the gate. The lieutenant and I will block the entrances. They're quite heavy, so if anyone comes here looking for shelter, better call us, help you out. And if someone is being chased by wolves or anything, better throw them a rope instead. He scratches his head. If it gets cold, feel free to make fire, and the best place is on the watchtower. They want to put a blanket there or something. The watchtower. I don't see a watchtower. Maybe it's just climbing up on the table? Climbing on this post? He gives you a long puzzled look. Oh, here. He points to the pile of crates. Oh, here. I see, of course. Just climb up the tallest one. You'll have a great view of the northern side, the more dangerous side. And also, I know you're tired after all that riding. He points to the tent on the other side of the camp. I can handle a couple of hours sleep on the ground if you wish. You go there after me, just this once. And at least I have a pallet inside. Thanks a lot. Okay, we'll share. Thanks, bud. You put your blanket on the tallest crate and sit down. The night is warm, but the sporadic summer breeze brings gentle refreshment. From time to time your back aches, and you have to force yourself to keep your eyes open. The light of the moon helps you focus on the tall grasses. For most of the time, you spot smaller critters and birds, but there are exceptions. At one point, you see a three-horned deer trying to challenge one another. You see three-horned deer? Three-horned deer? No, three-horned deer trying to challenge one another. Before they clash their antlers, a two-legged dragonling appears, leading its much smaller offspring. The furry beasts try to intimidate the predators with roars and aggressive head movements. After a few moments, both sides walk away slowly, not willing to risk the fight nor admit defeat. I don't let it distract me. I keep looking around. You hear the death screams of distant prey and the mating calls of monkeys. Runners are chasing a gray hare. A group of musk oxen lazily chew the grass, preparing themselves to sleep. A dusk fox is running together with a lynx, making playful screeches. Thankfully, you never have to intervene. You just sit there, watching the not-so-distant forest, trying to outlast your sleepiness. Not bad. I wonder... Okay, so this is the time of day. Got it. How well we feel, how full we are, the state of our equipment, and how good we look. Nice. Alright. But yeah, if prey animals are just sort of hanging out, we're probably generally okay. You can only guess how much time has passed. Once you feel you've had enough, you climb down and go to a tent, waking up the bearded man with just a couple of words. You confirm that nothing important has happened. I gather my things and squeeze into the tent, use my bag as a pillow, and put my blanket on the pallet, cover myself with the cloak. Sleeping in a tent is not the stuff of dreams, but it's a much welcome rest. The pallet keeps the cold soil away. The moonlight saves the outside world from the eerie gloom. You listen to your own breath and find a comfortable position. Your job starts tomorrow. The real goal of my journey. New journal entry. Explore the peninsula. The Merchant Guild wants to take control of this realm. Your warden duties are secondary. First and foremost, you need to explore the peninsula, learn about the territory, resources, and threats. Get to know the locals, and if you can, convince them to consider negotiations with Hovlavan, officials and traders. Could the tribes resist the soldiers, or be a threat to the priests of the United Church? Are there any forbidden practices that need to be eradicated, such as blood magic, necromancy, robbery, or slavery? At least I have time. 40 days to be exact. I need to be as thorough as I can. Interesting. Good. Any of the guys some extra coins? Okay, let's see. Once you finish your reconnaissance, you should speak with Tuli and return to Hovlavan. There, you'll report back to your employers to get your reward. In the meantime, you have your own goal to pursue. I need to gather some extra coins so I can help a person I care about. So this is our overarching storyline. I need to gather some extra coins so I can retire early and live in prosperity and safety. This is like us-focused, but could be abandoned. If I gather enough connections among local leaders, I'll use them to become a major player in the Merchant Guild. I want to be remembered as a soul who brought peace in order to this realm. A hero? Bold. Just want to help people make this region safer for locals and newcomers alike. I want to find a new life for myself. I have a difficult past and I want it to be forgotten. This seems like the easiest. We're just going to move on and do whatever. Sure. Let's see. New shelter unlocked. New entry. A new life. You can't travel during the night. Press the sleep button to rest. I see. Your half-asleep senses are catching the sounds of wild forests as roars, whimpers, howls, and singing. Your instincts keep you alert and anxious, so the pleasant, humid late summer air evens it out slowly. Think about your goal, but you need to gather your strength. All I can do now is rest. So I must sleep. And we sleep in a tent. So we lose bread, we lose appearance, but we don't change our vitality. Got it. And we're not hungry and our money doesn't change. Sure. Sleeping in a tent. You can spend the night in a borrowed tent that's something special to protect you from the wind and the rain, and the ground won't be painfully hard nor cold. So, If we didn't help him out, we might have had to sleep on the ground, and we might have lost some vitality, but we would have lost food anyway, and appearance probably anyway as well. And we could probably splash more water on our face to get back to 2. Okay, well anyway. So we got less sleep, but we got better sleep. Sure. I will generally say quality of sleep is more important than quantity, but there you go. You're woken up by sunlight, well rested and ready. Without haste, you gather your things. After only a couple of breaths, you notice a weird smell, like a roast. No, burning meat. Burning rotten meat. Disgust crawls into your consciousness. You exit the tent. Your horse is looking around nervously, your bags are where you had left them. You see an open gate. I go outside to see what's happening. Both soldiers are standing near a humble pyre. The man in the shirt looks at you contemplatively. Tulia is the first one to address you. Gam. She greets you with a nod. You use the horse's manure for the flames, so you don't have to worry about cleaning it up. Yep, it'll burn. You see a corpse among the flames, but it's impossible to tell if it belonged to a male or female. But it was an adult. The burning process won't be over for a couple more hours. A traveler or undead? The latter, a young one. She lacked the numbra to understand that she couldn't get inside the camp without climbing. I stabbed her with a spear from a safe distance. She shifted her weight. One more fog and she'd be a real threat. Even now it took a couple of hits to knock her down. Sooner or later every human shell wakes up, gaining more strength with each soul it devours and each moment it spends in the fogs. Burning the dead is not just a religious practice, it's a necessity. Soldiers, priests, village mayors, even road wardens. Making a large pyre takes a lot of time, but it saves lives. Tulia called this undead Ushi. Most unites hesitate to do so. I see. Time for me to leave. Because once they're dead, they're just empty, right? No longer the person they were. Running away from the Reek, eh? I don't blame you. She walks with you for a few steps. Find us here if you need us, or if you learn what happened to Asterion. There's enough ground here for you to rest. Safe travels. The words make you stop. An odd farewell, mocked in a number of songs and tales. But you hear no scorn in Tulia's voice. You wonder how many acts of kindness like this one you're going to experience in the days to follow. She returns to the pyre. I prepare myself for the journey. Okay. Travel button to see the map and move to another area. You somehow miss the fact that your mount is already saddled and warmed up. You double check the equipment, but you don't need to fix anything. Soldiers were diligent. Normally preparing a palfrey for a long journey takes a lot of time. Put on your gambeson and make sure that your axe is tightly attached to your belt, and you get on the saddle. The palfrey knickers ready to leave. It's time for you to get to the crossroads, north of here. Just need to ride north. So we shall travel. The travel forward continues your journey. Once you're done with the north, speak to Tulia and return to Hovlavan. Presuming they're still there. Okay, map key. Show map key. Nighttime shelter. Got it. Tulia's camp. Military outpost surrounded by a wooden wall. Set in the middle of a valley. We're currently here. We can travel north. We click the button. We travel north. This tile. Even in the latter hour, you wouldn't expect to meet any travelers in the valley. The warm summer breeze lures your mount forward, but the serene chirping of the birds is quickly replaced by the distracting screeches and gurgles coming from further down the path. You soon find a pack of four-legged griffins. They're larger than foxes and merge the features of birds and furred beast. Each one is of a different size, coat, and colors, and their temperaments are just as varied. Their fronts are covered with vivid feathers, while their rears have darker fur. Their wings are massive, making them impressive jumpers, but they're too heavy to fly. About 24 beasts are yelling, brawling, and chasing each other around, blocking your path. I'll consider my options. Well, we're not gonna fight them. Gosh. You can't enter the forest blindly. If these other creatures were to chase after you, the thing would be disastrous for your horse. Yeah, either by being blocked or by falling, breaking a leg on tree roots and stuff. There are reasons why travelers stay as close to the main roads as possible, and why adventurers move in groups. Usually the safest approach would be to stay where you are and just wait for the pack to get hungry. It may, however, take up to a couple hours. When you're thinking about your conversation with Tulia, you've got a lot to do and time may be of the essence. If you have any vitality points, you can use warrior's training to access unique interactions. Interesting. I take my axe and hurry the horse. If we ride fast enough, we should be fine. Maybe. I should stay here. Better safe than sorry. I grab my crossbow. A light hit should be enough to make them scatter. But we'd lose a bolt. What's this? Force. As an experienced warrior, you gain an advantage during physical struggles. Got it. The dice icon marks the actions that involve a random chance. Okay, so should be fine. Better safe than sorry. And maybe they'll disperse quickly, maybe they won't. If we just wait. And if we just rush through, maybe they'll get mad. Or maybe they'll disperse. Or I can just do a warning shot, but we might lose a bolt. Good question. Well, we don't know the answer to any of them, but this one has a determinable outcome. Okay. Let's see. Safest approach is staying where you are. Just might expect to get hungry, but if they get hungry, they might chase. It may, however, take up to a couple hours. Think about your conversation with Julia. You've got a lot to do, and time may be of the essence. It may, but I doubt it'll change too much. I also don't know that attacking them, this is going to be about the same as this. I don't know how many bolts we have. Are we just assuming that we have plenty? Inventory. 3, it says. We have a 3. So we have three bolts, yeah. Gotcha. Alright, well. 1 of 3 is a huge amount. Should we lose it? Although if we were to kill one of them, and the rest would just, like, scatter. I also don't want to have my horse get wounded. This is probably the best of them all. Crossbows are an easy weapon. Hold on, you can lose about your character abilities in the character sheet. I got something? I missed it. 2 quarrels left. Yeah, okay. Crossbows are an easy weapon to use and have got plenty of time to aim. The creature falls on its side and screams, alerting its companions. Confused, they look around, and after a while they run. One of them limping with your quarrel in its thigh. Alas, we did in fact lose one. We ride forward. Expeditious, though. And it's wounded. We've got achieve the new adventure. Reach the first crossroad. Nice. To keep track of your achievements on the journey unfolds. Yes. Yes. Sure. Ah. My name is Gamma. I used to be a fighter. There you go. The road splits. According to what the soldiers have told you, you may find a safe inn by turning left. The forest is to the right is lush and the trail overgrown. Kids used to have that song. How did it go? The harshest pathway leads to the dragon's lair. Those who search for treasure. Do you truly dare? Nice. The signpost in front of you doesn't make your situation much clearer. It's put there by someone who can't write for folks who can't read. Covered in old red paint, it points east. Blood there, as people say. Danger to be found. There's not a soul to ask for guidance. I look to my horse. Ah. I see. What's its name? Bucephalus, obviously. Bucephalus. Bucephalus, isn't that right? Let's just double check. We wouldn't want to spell it incorrectly. I think there's only one L. Not actually phallus, LOL. Bucephalus. Oh, yeah. Bucephalus. There you go. Kick. Bucephalus is peaceful as you stroke its mane. Maybe it can't help you choose a path, but you've spent many years together. Happy to go on, it takes a couple steps forward. You spot a few berry shrubs and wild cabbages, but they still need at least 2 weeks to gain maturity. Okay, so we know that there's some food at the crossroads. Should we come back in 2 weeks? Good to know. Sure. Time to make a turn. We'll travel. We could wait as well, I guess. That seems silly. Naturally, we'll go towards the inn. Explore east, explore west. Point connecting deep forests to the east and the western wetlands. You hit the road to Hovland. You're currently here. Okay, so we'll go west because that's towards the inn where everyone has suggested we go. Bucephalus trots with ease, unbothered by the few branches covering the beaten road. The bird songs and distant howls draw your attention to the forest, which gets sparser and brighter. You spot boars, roe deer, and saurians. The sight of a nearby wolf pack worries you, but once you push your hips forward and your palfrey enters a canter, the beasts don't even begin pursuit. The speed alone will protect you from many dangers. You notice a stone tower, taller than the trees. It must be the inn I've heard about. Nice. Behold, inns like this one fit the regions traveled by merchants, but you wouldn't expect a place of this size in a forsaken peninsula. The stone and lumber must have been transported from far away, and the workers, guarded by expensive mercenaries, surely lived for many seasons in a primitive hamlet, subsisting on salted supplies. There are seemingly no cracks in the wall, and the building was whitewashed only a few years back. The road is wide and beaten. Dozens of souls could hide if not in the buildings, then at least in the yard. The expenses and labor put into this fortress were worth many trading ships. 3 armed people are on the ramparts, though you only see what appears above the waistline. They're leaning on the parapet right next to the gate, and you notice a glimpse of a smile. They were gambesons. Each of them died differently. Yellow, green, and linen gray. I approach the gate. Interesting. A woman in yellow armor leans forward. She has long, curly, disorderly red hair, pointing in every possible direction. This combination of colors doesn't work at all, and the words wouldn't have to shout to draw this much attention. There's still a fair distance between the two of you, but she speaks loudly. I hadn't seen your horse for years. Now. I just said it's weird to see such a large jackass, huh? Her voice is young and strong, with an accent that reminds you of the villages spread around Hovleven, but no jackass would wear a saddle, I'd say. She exchanges a few words with a male guard wearing green, giving you time to move closer. Well, this one here says that there's really are donkey saddles. Say, traveler, how hard is it to ride a horse? We can be witty with the guards. How about that? If, in fact, they're guards. I laugh. You wouldn't believe it. The lessons were a pain. You get off your horse and imitate the silly walk from the day that you followed your first long journey with when your whole shell was crying. You illustrate the pain as you move your hand from your back to your hips and thighs. In return, the guards tell you about that time when they had to carry their friend with bitten off legs for 3 days straight through the heart of the woods. Meanwhile, the other guards open the gate. You may be in a good mood, the woman in the yellow jacket smiles at you, but don't get so noisy when you talk to our boss. The man never smiles. He has a world suffering sculpted on his face. Right, the second one to tell us he's all business. But that seems to indicate that he's the innkeeper. She leads you under the roof, which your palfrey can rest, tethered with a cord to a wooden post, near some old hay. Once you're ready, go inside, speak with our boss. Maybe you're hungry? The other guards take care of various chores. They peek at your mount every now and then, as they're splitting firewood, cleaning their clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. 2 of them are making a rope. You head towards the inn, hearing the piercing scream of a boar from the other side of the yard. Okay, at least that all seems like they're doing typical tasks, so they're probably not bandits, just varied mercenaries. We're filthy and hungry. I open the door. New shelter unlocked. The locked windows make up the air stuffy, and the weak fires in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. A muscular man is sweeping the floors near the stairs, but after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads behind the counter. If you're at an inn in the morning, you can spend the entire day resting. Interesting. I guess we are... Yes. Very early. You're lucky to show up. His voice is deep and soft with a city-like accent. He observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. I've got a decent keg of ale, worm, wood, bog myrtle, juniper berries, cat's foot. He fills a mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. It's going to spoil soon, today maybe. And we don't drink here even before the even. I hate to see the good stuff going to waste. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare even among the southern tribes, and his hair is naturally bluish. His clothes are quite fancy for manual labor. An elegant tunic wouldn't stand out in the city square. I stand at the counter. All business with this guy. No threats, no vulnerable. We can just be distant and normal. The planks let out a creak after every step you make, so you slow down a bit. You can swear that the innkeeper made little to no noise. Nice. Here you go. He pushes the mug forward, but just so you know, my pelt of the north doesn't belong to Hovlaven. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so, but if you want a bed or a meal, you'll have to pay. We may have some leftovers from dinner, but I need to check. Now, do we want to be friendly or distance? Because, like, friendly isn't playful. That's still okay. Or we could be distance and all business. I won't stay for long. I introduce myself. Thanks for the drink. I see you know how to make friends with a Roadwarden. Let's do this one, because we need to introduce ourselves as a Roadwarden. He meets your eyes with a puzzled look, then grabs a wet cloth and starts to swipe down the shelves. From time to time, your conversation is interrupted by splashes of dirty water in a wooden bucket. Well, nothing is truly free. I have to work for a soul of the road, but I don't need a new mouth to babble. He speaks slowly yet audibly. I value my time, you should value yours. Do we drink? Fill our belly with booze? YOLO, right? The dark room and wooden walls of the mug make the liquid look as brown as chestnut. The lee in spring hits your nose, and the first sip is too complex, too flowery. While the brewer has used fancy ingredients, the exotic licorice ruins the aftertaste. Alas. Now that you know why there's not so much left, maybe it's an acquired taste. Now you know why there's so much left. The innkeeper nods. I was hoping to see someone willing to patrol the roads. Maybe you'll help me with a worrying thought I have, which is... There are brigands in the woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike, but they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day they may steal our furs, and I have no doubt they're the reason why merchants come here only once. having bandits around gets expensive. Very true. He rubs his hands together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Howler's Dell, northwest from here. It's the largest settlement around. I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Ask Thalis, the mayor, about Glaucia, that bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard rumors about a raid in the north. If Glaucia is ready to break the truce with the locals, I'm willing to join forces with them to get rid of her band. He looks at a nearby dragon bone. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have the chance. A couple of days won't make much of a difference. I'll pay you 2 coins when you get back with the news. Fine? Sure. Great. What else do you need? Let's see. We've already accepted some business. Shall we see what he's got for sale first? Because if he doesn't have anything to buy, then it's maybe not super worthwhile, but if we have some food... do I have anything you'd like to buy? I doubt it. We don't have any inventory stuff, right? Like, we've really got nothing. Winged hourglass, hidden. Steel pendant hanging from a leather strap. It's common to wear such jewelry demonstrates one allegiance to the right. Oh, I see. So this became one of the... We can sell it, interestingly. Got a bit of rope. Definitely can't sell that. We've really got nothing to sell, and as a matter of fact, we need to buy some food, probably. What have you got for sale? I can go pick up a few things for you, some food for your travels to start with. Apples, nuts, sausage, not too many at once. We need to maintain our supplies. I've got an elk fur I don't need. Its buyer was caught with a pack of red wolves. Nice for a sleeping spot. Just as nice for a wall. Almost untouchable as soap. Priceless for a traveler. You can't tell if he's being sarcastic. Made of fine oak ash, strong. Though you should have some better supplies before you start your own bathhouse. After you mentioned you'd like something more useful for the roads, he looks down. I don't have any blades or armor to spare, but if you pay well, you can take one of our crossbows and a bunch of quarrels, a yew-bow, wool cords, gosh, and the trigger just needs a little bit of oil. It's as good as you can get without soaking it in magic. Takes a bit of muscle to draw it, but even a 16-year-old can handle it. I won't sell it cheap, but I'm ready to give a discount to a helpful ally. Let's take a look at what you have first. Okay, we definitely need some food rations. We cannot afford the fur at all. We could do with some more arrows for the crossbow, okay. Oak-based balm that burns skin on longer contact. Do you want to buy all this stuff? We'll definitely buy at least one. You can buy more tomorrow. I'd like to have a few more crossbow bolts than 2. And should we buy this soap? This is probably a luxury. We now have 1 coin left. And we can buy it a food ration tomorrow, presumably, is what it says. Alright, we buy a bunch of crap. Let's see. I should eat something. Do you have any leftovers? Yes, feed them to our boar. I won't give them away for nothing. He tells you to wait and leaves the building for a few minutes and returns the wooden bucket and a long stick ending with a hook. Go through the gate and turn left. You see a bunch of bushes. We need some berries. Bring me a bucket full. You'll be done in half an hour or so. Your horse could use a nap anyway. I'll prepare for something to fill you. The hook is made from it's not made from metal or wood. It's a long curved claw, almost black. Sure. Do I look like someone who forges for berries? Outrageous! Come on, he's feeding us. A little bit of work is fine. It's quite long for berry picking. The tools are cold, but not heavy. You notice a pair of thick gloves at the bottom of the bucket. The berries are not a problem. They can keep us mercs. Unlike the snakes, better to scare them away with a stick or move them with the hook. And protect your hands. Little ones won't eat you, but don't give in. I'm sure you know how to be patient. Sure. That's fine. Let's go get it done. You step outside. Bucephalus is napping. Hear the sounds of work coming from an armorer's workshop. Let's just do the berries first. One thing at a time. And after we do that, we can go to the well. Innkeeper knew what he was talking about. You put the gloves on and look through the bushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take you long before you notice a first serpent laying on a rock somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even if some of them hiss at you, it's still the closest the jabs of the hook keep them at a distance. You don't know much about these berries. They're round and reddish. You wouldn't trust such a color even if you were looking for food in the wilderness. The plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh. So you make sure to thoroughly cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many bushes to fill the bucket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. I gather the berries and go back to the inn. Nice. After you return to the courtyard, 2 of the guards are participating in a friendly skirmish. The wrestling is accompanied by a crowd. Nice. I enter the inn. The locked windows make the air stuffy and the blah blah blah. So you again. Need anything? Put the fruits on the counter? Let's do this first. Great. Peeks in the bucket. I've got a cabbage stew with a few goose chunks for you. I'd serve even to the merchants if there were any around. The meal is warm and filling. It's well seasoned and not overcooked. And like I've said, I rarely have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever stop by. You may be lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. Thanks. How's that little hook of mine work for you? I see you still have your hands. I give him the hook. I'm fine. He takes the tools from you and nods. Need anything else? Let's ask about Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be of much help. He rests his elbow on the tabletop and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want you to find him, so when asked about his intentions, he measures his words. Asterion and I made a risky deal. Well, a very promising one. Last time he was here, it took 50 coins, half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist anxiously. If you get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy, I make sure you won't be disappointed after bringing me the news. Could it be the stole the coins and ran away? He looks at the window and starts to play with his shutter. I just think Asterion ain't the kind of soul who would do such a thing. For him it wasn't much of a fortune, and I'd risk saying he'd earned my trust. Not only mine, you know. It's easy for a road warden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with his thumb as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked the travelers. I've sent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in the White Marshes for a day and was meant to do something with the people there. It's a village in the northwest. Just stay on the main road until you reach the bogs and enter them. You may even get there before dusk. So, let me know once you find anything, and we may return to this whole investment thing. I'll think about it. Let's see. I doubt I have anything that he'd be willing to buy. He might buy a crossbow, but we need it. What can you tell me about the peninsula? Yeah, let's do that. What could anyone say? This place doesn't even have a name, unless there's an old book in an archive that no soul knows about. You know what I'd call everything from here to the coast? The hunting ground. He glances at your eyes. But it's not us who hunt. Keep that in heart. But the beasts in all shapes and forms. His words gain confidence slowly, which is strengthened by his deep voice. I've lived in this inn for over 10 years now, and I've only seen a couple of roads, a couple of places. It's just, once you get here and you see how harsh it is to hit the road, you only have more reasons to stay at the warm stove behind a wall, even if it's suffocating. He looks toward the windows. I'm sure you've heard a lot already, that the people don't build hamlets anymore, that there's no more ibexes from the south, and the traders stay only for a few days. All of our iron is used for cauldrons, not swords or tools. Let's see. We can always ask about all of it. Eastern roads are as rough as I've heard. Pretty much. Don't leave the main road, I'd say. Not so far from here, you'll find an old dolmen. A few of my people had to spend a night there, and monkeys stole food and gods from their bags. It was their fault. One of them had fallen asleep in the middle of his watch, but you know, the eastern forests are wild. The roads are rough, and almost no soul lives there. One day all these roads will be swallowed by the trees again. The furthest my team has ever gone from the home of the Enchantress was the home of the Enchantress. Just stay on track until you reach the crossroads, right near an abandoned watchtower. From there, turn east. You'll recognize the place. It's a nice home in a lonely meadow, surrounded by a wall. He looks towards the closed window, then at you again. Kind of like our walls, but simpler, without the coating. She lives as a hermit. Eudocia. I don't even know how she survives there, but if you don't have decent coin, you won't find much there. So, back at the crossroads, if you turn left instead, you'll see a road. People stay away from it. It connects the tower and the monastery, a shortcut between the two sides of the peninsula. I was warned by the locals not to use it. It already belongs to the beasts. Alright, what will I find traveling west? Where there's the hills nearby, and you'll find a village maybe an hour away from here. It was destroyed by beasts almost a decade ago. Nothing to see there. The goblins live there now, so most people just travel around it, and they say it's haunted, but who knows, who cares? He crosses his arms and starts to sway back and forth, gathering his thoughts. You get to a large tree on the edge of a swamp. For the locals, it's sacred. You're not used to hearing someone mentioning patrons as if there's nothing unusual about them. There's a small path south which leads to an old mine in the mountains. Nothing to find there, but keep riding north and you'll find Howler's Dell. Set at a clean brook. Farmers live there, and Moflons and druids. They'll let you stay for a night, but they're not cheap, and anyone thinks my prices are bad. If anyone thinks my prices are bad, it means they ain't been to the Ape Ale Inn yet. He lets out a gentle smile. I'll nod. I only know a bit about the next settlement, Old Pagos. The soil there ain't too fertile, so they work in their quarry and help settlements build things in exchange for crops. The forests and hills aren't too harsh, but the Seekers have a small monastery nearby in the mountains. I don't care much about them. They keep to themselves and they don't pay well. The third village is unknown to me. White marshes sit at the bogs. I've heard it smells like a griffin's lair. I've heard a lot of nasty rumors about the place, but I won't share them. I don't want to be a lie spreader. So, 3 villages, really. Howlers is the one near the monastery, whatever it's called, and the marshes. Don't let their beds and palisades fool you, though. Weird people live there. Don't tell them more than you need to. You wonder if it's something he would tell other travelers as well. Have you ever been on the northern coast? I only know about another inn. It's far from here, maybe a day on foot, a bit less on the eastern side. His eyes are once again focused on the floor. Never been there, but I've heard it's a safe place, close to the villages and fishers and hunters, although I don't know much about them. That's all I need. Nice. We can ask about Glaucia's band, and we should, just to, first, settle his fears that we're not just gonna wander away and have actual interest in his quest. And also, so that we know better. He freezes, observing your hand silently. He wants me to get the answer from the mayor of Hellersdale. Well, I'm on it then. Any rumors worth sharing? He crosses his arms. I don't like talk about people who ain't nearby. Show me first you're someone worth changing habit for. Fair enough. Then that's all I need. Yep. Step outside. Bucephalus is napping. Hear the sounds of work coming from the armorer's workshop. Let's go to the well. The recently renovated wooden roof covers the well from the rain and birds. One of the guards is enjoying the cold drink as he drew with a bucket, and tells you to use only as much water as is necessary. The oak ash soap you own can help you get cleaner. You need 3 pieces of bathing equipment to get more out of this place. I'll wash my shell. Splashing yourself with cold water from a bucket won't take away your smell, but it's enough to remove the tallow and sweat from your skin, or mud stains from your clothes. Cool. We're back up to 2. We'll step away. Return to the courtyard. Blah, blah, blah. Shall we approach the guards? Or go to the armorer? We're a bit more presentable now. We can talk to the guards again. The woman in yellow armor is kneeling down next to a hairy boar which is resting outside. The beast is not as large as the dark ones from the forest. It responds to the touch of the human's hand with a brush of grateful grunting and rapid twitches of a hind hoof. No matter how friendly it appears, it's still tethered to the well, and you have no doubt that its charge would leave Bucephalus dead in a breath. Oh my god. When the woman notices you, she steps forward and to the boar's disappointment. So the new Roadwarden. She points at a window with her chin, forestalling the question. We don't need anything now. When we travel with our furs, we can use some assistance. She may be around 30, but her warm voice and bright smile are camouflaging a touch of time on her unpowdered face. Like many red-haired people with freckles, her skin is an unhealthy pale. I see. The roar runs up to her, observing her boots and fruitlessly sniffing for food beneath the beaten ground. She passes back, but maintains her focus. How about a game or two? We have a bit of time, could talk about this and that. Maybe get a couple of coins, or lose one. She winks. You play dice or throw axes at a target. I don't gamble. We'll tell her we don't gamble. We definitely won't play dice. We could maybe do axe throwing, but because our physical proficiency, who knows? Don't really gamble. Well, I wouldn't call it gambling. Just a couple of games. Her smile disappears. She returns to the guards. Finding anything fun to do in this hole ain't easy. Last time I saw a band from the south, I don't remember when it was. Yep. Are we gonna brag or something? But what else are we gonna say? She chuckles. So I've heard. Don't worry about it. Usually forage by ourselves, but we wouldn't ask you for a dragon for a meal. But he wouldn't ask you for a dragon for a meal. He just gives small jobs to people all the time, just to see who agrees to do them. He wants to judge who's of use and who's too proud for their own good. Understandable. Alright. I guess we'll just follow up with some questions. Not much to tell, honestly. There's many beasts around, both wild game and dangerous monsters. We spend our time surrounded by these walls, leaving only to hunt, forage, or trade. It's an unusual tower, expected to be closer to the gate and shorter. Interesting other creatures nearby. Quite attached to the boar. It's a friendly boar. Sure. How could you not be? She crouches and raises the boar's head, but it steps away and squeals as if someone's murdering it. It came with us from the city just in case. We had no clue how our first winter would go, so we needed some backup meat. And it works too. Cleans the dirt. She reaches out to the beast again and it trots away. The woman straightens up with a pleased sigh. We haven't needed to eat it so far, but it's also funny. I learned in my home village that the farm boars are getting a bit smaller and more cuddly, kind of like ibexes, so it's not much of a wild, dangerous beast. But we don't let it get close to the other animals. We're children. Fair enough. It's an unusual tower. Like an Hovlevan? Fair. But it ain't here to protect the gate. The Stronghold was built long before we moved in, and not to fight off humans. The tower is meant to be used by those who observe the deep forest. We look out for fires, dragons, any winged creatures that are looking to roost on the roof. Baldy, Baldy. She nods toward a man who, indeed, is completely bald, has a great eye, and sees well even in darkness. Nice. Maybe we should go talk to Baldy. What do you usually hunt for? Anything we can eat or sell. If there's a partridge, a squirrel, or a rat, we don't complain. But when we move as a group, we look for something larger. Deers or auros? How do you... Auros, I think, is... they don't actually... Auros are delicious. It's like a type of bison, I think. But we don't always look for taste alone. There's value in bones, antlers, claws, tusks, things people make to use to make tools or sculptures. We use some of them to make tools and spears, and you can never have enough spears. She pauses again, looks at the strand of her hair, then suddenly speaks up again. And we look for furs, of course. Any interesting creatures nearby? Huh? Here? Everything lives here. She flips her hair. I swear we saw a few dragons, a unicorn family, and a battle between trolls and goblins. Faced 2 beastmen, oh, and a gargoyle. And a hunting queen, shouts it all the time. I could tell you about all of them, but I won't. She winks and pats the barn and said, you know, understood their secrets. Fair enough, fair enough. What can I find north from here? Sorry, I don't really go to these regions. We stay close to home, only sometimes move south or west. To Howler's Dell, but only to trade. And they're fine with buying more than they need, since they take our wares to the coast. She takes a long breath, twirling her hair and gathering her thoughts. You know what? I've never even seen a beach. I've been living here how many? More than 10 years now? She giggles. The only part of the sea I've seen was Old Pagos, which was placed on a hill, but I've never put a toe in salt water. She looks towards another huntress who confirms that her experience is the same. But Old Pagos is a good place, as long as you don't mock their order and act nice. They'll also be kind. Bosses are too serious for him to stand them. They're too serious for him to stand them, but at least they don't bite without a reason. Anything about necromancers? That's something new. Her voice lowers to a whisper. I've been to the White Marshes, but over the years we've seen people moving away from there south, and they told us the place has changed too much. A priest died, I think, and the new one awakens the dead. Sorry, Roadwarden, that's all I know. If she's hiding something, she sounds convincing. Thanks. She observes you with a hand casually resting on her hip. That seems good. Looking for knowledge about wild creatures? Well, I told you all our knowledge is valuable. I don't know. She looks at the boar, which seems to be obsessed with a clump of grass growing next to the wall. 15 dragons, no less. Well, never mind. I don't have enough. Fair enough. I'll walk away then for now. Farewell. Let's go talk to the armorer. We've got no money left, so there's that. You walk past the well and find a small open shed, not unlike the stable, but with a humble set of tables, carving tools, hammers, sharpening stones, pincers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place will find a way to do so. There are 2 people sitting on a long bench. The first one is a male with maybe an inch-long hair, a cleanly shaven face, and a thin, long yellow tunic, bare legs, and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gambeson with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, who's wearing the crude outfit of a farmer. He glances at you, but soon returns to sharpening a long dagger. We can wait. After a few minutes, the man finishes his task, raises his head, puts away the piece of garment on a table, stands up, bows to you, and shrugs, waiting for you to speak. Maybe not right now, but I may be in need of your services. New trader unlocked. He nods, points at the laces in the front of your jerkin, raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, then gently spreads and lowers them as if he's taking off a rope. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gambeson. After a few minutes, he gives it back, then reaches for his pouch. He pulls out 1 dragon bone, shrugs, and then another one, and waves both of them in the air, pursing his lips. Makes a few speech-like noises with his empty mouth, groaning what looks like, I don't know. I consider his offer. Gambeson repairs. Your jacket is as good as this armorer can make it. Got it. Plus, we've only got 1 coin left, so... Nice. Learning the trade, I see? Kind of. He acts reluctantly, but his teacher pats his knee, giving him a harsh look. The kid clears his throat. Yes, but we both ain't masters, you see. There's not a soul to teach us, so once I'm ready, I'll try hunting instead. Fixing things for others is boring. Foolish! The man grunts a sound, though you don't understand it. Seeing your face, the boy chuckles. He said safe. Let's meet in the middle. Boring, but safe. The man nods. Fair enough. And I think the answer to that is yes. And we don't have money, so we'll wave and leave. And that's it. Oh, so I guess it's just travel from here. We're still good? What's the time? Noon-ish. No, not even noon. 12 hours before dusk. Okay, we'll travel. To the west. Let's see. Ah, okay. So now we know these things. Massive inn surrounded by a wall. Shelter for monsters and highwaymen is currently here. So there is a tailor, a safe water source, trader, meals, daytime rest, and nighttime shelter. Nice. Farewell! The road uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention not only to the shadows of the trees but also the tight rocky passages. You can't help but notice a few caves and find ambush spots. No time has passed. I keep an eye out for any signs of life. Now time has probably passed as we've gone a tile. Yes, about 45 minutes. Interesting. New entry, the ruined village. Sitting in the front gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. Their fluttering, singing, squawking is free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. This is the goblin place, right? Since we talked to the people. The broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of a gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounded by overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see an oddly barren field. We'll just keep going. What was the, Explore the peninsula. Quests. As thoroughly as I can. I have to know the locals, find out how much profit can be made here, and bring their news to blah blah blah. Major threats. Soldiers will be a large village. Reportedly uses necromancy. Abandoned village in the south. Maybe a useful spot for future settlers. Figure out why it's ruined. So this is the abandoned village, is that right? Ruined village? I ride the ruins of a village that used to be set on the southern road. It may be important to figure out what happened here, and if it can ever be rehabilitated. Interesting. Well, there's supposedly goblins here, so... but we can figure it out. The ruined village. The palisade is in good shape, and the entrance wasn't even touched by the fire. It was torn away, possibly thrown. The amount of force must have been huge, but you wouldn't expect that it would push the gate into the village, not away from it. Oh, interesting. So something from the inside. You don't see any marks of a dragon's bite. A troll could toss such planks, but after so many years, you see no paw prints. A mage? You can't really tell. Should we check the field first? That took no time. Broken logs and planks are charred, but the wooden walls are rotted and covered in moss. You see no ashes or dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay for long. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It's just a storage room. Nothing valuable. The valuable odds and ends are already taken by the scavengers. So we move forward. Where do you want to go? The southwest part of the village. Okay. The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotten. You spot claw marks on the walls, especially close to the doors and window frames. They could belong to a dragonling or large wolf, larger than a grey ones, or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess. Yet no beast remains in sight. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only a few select items seems to be of use. A basket-like fish trap made of vines and a willow branches. If a large fish swims into it, it won't be able to get out on its own. It's quite large, but I can fit it in my saddle. Okay, I guess we're going to take that. A slight aching in our stomach. We're a bit hungry. We're going to wait for a while. Nourishment. We gotta let that get to at least half. I don't know. Okay, we've got some hours. Palisade to the west. Northern part. Main square. Southern part. So we go in like a wraparound. Oh, I see. So like there's a full explore we could do. Fields to the southwest. That took no time. Okay, good. You're surrounded by what looks like plowed field, like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There's a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should already have turned itself into a green lea. A barren field, maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout. A curse? The path leading west from here ends at the edge of the field, shifting into a meadow then a forest. In the north, you see a path leading around the palisade. I don't have a way to investigate. Okay, interesting. Your stomach makes you let out a painful groan. Why? Are we poissoned? OMG. Palisade in the west. Tracks of a human footwear and many, many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the freshest footprint led to the village. The wooden stakes spread out on the ground are rotten, covered in mushroom and small flowers, insects and worms. A good source of animal or goblin food, though you'd expect them also to hunt for the birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grasses in the north surround dozens of tree stumps already covered with moss and fungi. Going south, you'll reach a large field, though you don't see any crops. I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not in this area. It's unpredictable. Again, my stomach. But, bro. Northwest part of the village? Sure. The colorful grass covers the entire fenced pasture. The large stone placed in the middle suggests it could be a playground for ibexes, or maybe it's just an old garden. You see a couple of small sheds, a latrine, and a single building to the south, completely burned down. All these places were cleaned out by scavengers. Bucephalus doesn't want to approach the large ruins in the north. The terrible stench of feces and rotting food scares you off as well. The paths are covered with goblin footprints. Yep, goblins. It's daytime, so the pack should be asleep. If the beasts were active, they would try to scare you off or hunt down your mount. This is their territory, and once they wake up, they will face a furious enemy. I should go somewhere else quietly. The closer you are to the village and the longer you stay around, the sicker you feel. The taste of gastric juices hits your mouth, your forehead hurts, and you start to stumble. Bucephalus, worried by the sight, pokes your head with its nose. Let's walk far away. Landing on your mount, you go outside, keeping your mouth shut. After a few minutes, your eyes get clearer. Maybe better to leave, or at least stay away from the village for the rest of the day. Nice. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? Inspect the clearing in the west. Okay. The clearing. The meadow is lush and colorful, and so dense it's unsafe for a rider. For a couple of minutes, you lead Bucephalus with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case of a hoof falling into an animal den. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have comparable size. They are most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals, though cutting so many trees at once, that alone would provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process should be spread across several seasons, and you can't be sure that was the case. In the west and the north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the east, you see a road leading north. I'll leave the clearing. I go to the road leading north from the village. Yeah. They're at a closed northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by the lush meadow filled with crickets. We can take a closer look at the gate, sure. I'd sort of like to go around the whole place, but then we'll have to go around again. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't seem to move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks both underneath it and around it, seemingly to keep the planks stuck in the ground. Alright, I'll go somewhere else. Aching stomach. To the river. You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple of grunts, they run north. The river is not too wide, yet unusually deep, with banks altered by the locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You'd rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, neck, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds, of small fish are looking for tasty leaves, but also try to avoid predators. A dance of life, completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something else buried among the kelp, a rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hoes. The wooden handles are large. The wooden handles and large wagon are covered up with moss, but you recognize their shapes. Why would someone drop them in here? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns to a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. I turn back. Shall we wash ourselves in the river? There are goblins nearby, and we want to be away before it gets too dark. We can set up the fish trap, I guess, sure. You place the basket on the ground, and grab a bowl to start digging, looking for larger worms. You bait and stick it, push back into the basket, locking it between the sides, then cover the entrance with a lid. Tying it together makes a few good moments, but it'll be easier later on. You'll attach the trap to a bush and push it into the stream far enough that it sinks entirely. Who knows how long it'll be before something large enough swims inside. Still, it'll be better to not wait for too long, otherwise the prey may die of hunger. We'll probably come back this way at some point, and then there'll be a fish. Maybe. I step away. Shall we wash ourselves, or tomorrow or later? Okay. I guess we'd have to go all the way back. The living stream filled with fish and plants won't help you much. The oak soap can help you get cleaner. You need 3 pieces of bathing equipment to get more. So I won't get any cleaner here, so we'll not. I guess we have to go all the way back around. That's unfortunate. You don't find a single sign of livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung have already been devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends in the river. Oh, I see. We actually did go this way. Okay. Pasture ends at the river. On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there to survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts on the spots that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks you could follow. Return to the main road. Okay. Oh, I guess we can travel from here is what we need to do then, because we can't explore anymore. But we got most of this side, and we know goblins are hanging out in here, and we definitely want to be away before full dark. So we'll keep going, I guess. And this is a safe water source and a fishing spot. Nice. There are potentially some fish. You enter the low wetlands, where there are many streams, ponds of excuse me, ponds, fish, large birds, and many streams, ponds, and fish. Large birds run and fly between the gray sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms, and critters. For a human, it may be an unwelcoming and harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarms of insects prove that it is a realm full of life. The danger with teeth and claws is hidden below the water's surface. I'll stay away from the banks. Okay. We keep on going. This plant shouldn't be alive, not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees in the wetlands. It's something else. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with the dirt and dead plants. It smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water's surface. You don't see any saurians in the grasses or on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now, or was there a point in time centuries ago when they were precisely shaped and decorated by a master's artistry? There's no way to tell. Bucephalus is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion sees this place through very different eyes. I see. I know there are dark forces in here. I ask the right for vigilant eye and a bright soul. Let's not worry about that too much, I guess. You don't see any creatures, nor humans. We'll look into the water. Gently. You step cautiously without knowing how deep it gets. You have to consider that a saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge a potential strike. Let's not worry too much about all of that. Once you get close, you start breathing again. While the water is dirty, it's also shallow. You see vegetation, swimming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like a spiderweb covering the bottom of the pond. Seems like a poison tree. Let's just go. Can we just keep traveling? So what's south and stuff? A large tree. Massive tree with no leaves growing near an altar. You're currently here. Okay. What is our... The ruined village. We found some stuff here. Let's see. Massive force might get troll power from age. Never clearing is massive enough to provoke the wrath of the herds. Found marks left by a large animal claw, various buildings and entrances. Wooden wagon is set with tools returned to a river, all right next to each other. Some humans chopped through the fence that surrounds a large pasture, maybe to save a herd, maybe to steal it. Interesting. Klausia and her band may have broken the truce with the local villages. It's going to pay me 2 dragons if I get in touch with Thalis, the mayor of Howler's Dell, and bring him her response. We can look for that. Explore the peninsula. Somewhere among the bogs by the northwestern road. Okay, so there's lots of stuff going on. We can go to the village. I'm not too sussed about that. Find the Roadwarden. This is the more interesting thing that I'm curious about. I'll receive his abandoned belongings in pelt that right before Astrion's disappearance. Innkeeper gave him 50 dragons for some sort of investment. The White Marshes, a village to the northwest. Okay. Northwest. So shall we then travel north from here? Who knows? As you slow down, how are we doing? Plenty of time. As you slow down among the shrubs, a small pack of dragonlings is feasting on the carcass of a great auroch. How does Google how to spell, how to pronounce? Auroch. Yes, that one. Tell me, how is it pronounced? not to be confused with Bos taurus, European bison, or oryx. Aurochs. Rye and rye. R and rye. Aurochs. An extinct cattle species. Okay. Aurochs, fine, we'll call it that. One of them with the red feathers stands on its arms, straightens up, and gives you a curious glance. Its head tilts left and right, forward and back. It screeches at you, but doesn't move forward, and returns to its meal. You wonder what would happen if you were on foot. Would they let you be satisfied with their prey, or would they run after you? But so far, if so far, for what reason? For now, you have enough space to move forward, yet stay safe. Powerful jaws break the monster's bones loudly, then bite off and swallow chunks of meat. Okay. Dragonlings. We'll press on, I suppose. The beaten road serves your palfrey well. The forests to your left become sparse and brighter, and there are dozens of human-made paths among the fruit-bearing trees. On your right, there's a large pasture with at least a dozen massive mouflons. 2 of them, already sheared, look comically small. Soon after that, you ride alongside vast, flourishing fields filled with rye, still green, preparing itself patiently for the second harvest. The path ends with a massive wooden gate, the stone wall separating you from the glow of lights behind it. It isn't as tall as the roofs, but you can't imagine climbing on its top. There are pretty much no cracks, no missing bricks, a sign of many hours of labor, especially considering how massive the settlement is, as wide as the city district. The birds and monkeys are now just a distant echo, replaced with the sounds of carts, running, hammers, saws, laughter, and shouts. We don't really need to rest or eat or any of that stuff. I'm not too sussed with large settlements, but we don't really need rest either. The young man is leaning against a closed gate, covered by its shadow. He's young, tanned, and has a short, elegantly trimmed red beard. Beneath the green gambeson he wears is an expensive tunic decorated with colorful trim. From his arm hangs a steel helmet, though the metal is so thin it's mostly made of wool and leather. He moves into the light and takes on the posture of a disciplined soldier, not a mercenary. He's standing upright, his chin up. There are 2 weapons on the ground, leaning on the wooden beams of the gate, an axe made of steel and a wooden club. He doesn't reach for either. You dismount smoothly, still having some vigor left. Bucephalus holds its tail high. A narrow path leads forward. 2 field workers, one with a hoe and one with a pitchfork. They wave to you. You can't see their faces, but their clothes are simple. Gray pants, vests made from hemp and wool. Might as well wave back. They talk for a bit, looking forward and pointing at your mount, then walk away, disappearing behind the wall's corner. The guard smiles, yet avoids your eyes. It's clear his throat before he speaks. Welcome, traveler. If you're here to make trouble, Howler still welcomes you. If you're ne here to make trouble, Howler still welcomes you. We have the whitest flower there is. Wow. When he bows, you realize it's a well-practiced performance. If there's new garments you're looking for, you can order everything for you right here. It's in all colors, shapes, and sizes. Capes, boots, vests, robes, or if you're yourself a master of the needle, I can assure you that we have the fabric you're looking for. His act is over, and he glances at your mount in a moment of silence. His eyes get wider as he observes it with a childlike fascination. This is Bucephalus. It helps me on patrol the roads. You can pet aside if you want, but no sudden movements. Whoa! Nice. Even though your palfrey pays no attention to the man's careful touch, the guard grins wildly. I'm Gam, your new Roadwarden. I'm here to see your mayor. A cityful guy. The mayor's busy, but I'll ask her. Give us a moment to let you in. He knocks at the gate, which is then pulled inward by 2 other guards, a man and a woman, wearing their own gambesons, similarly green, yet tailor-made to match their figures. There's money. The nearby buildings are simple houses, made of wooden beams and covered with thatch. While the storehouse is even more modest, with a roof made of planks, the watchtower has a ladder made of ropes and sticks, no stairs. Just give me a moment. The guard strides away before he finishes the last word. The others close the gate behind you and observe your mount carefully. Your eyes run east to a humming creek running through the center of the village. Nice. Or we wait for the return of the messenger. Calming sound, aye, that's Howler's Creek. The guard, like most of the yokels, is taller than you. Wide but shallow. There's nae been a flood in years. Pa told me there used to be nae bridges. Neighbours crossed it with their boots in their hands. And 'tis clean like a raindrop, but there are nae many fish. Cool. We're the cleanest village in the north, her companion chuckles brightly. When the guard returns, he's still alone. She canna come now. A friend of mine's in labour, aye? The mayor wants to be there when the child arrives, but I asked to show you the village. That's fine. That's an important event going on. He approaches the watchtower. Time out here will keep the kids away. Most of the neighbours are getting ready to celebrate. Once you're done, he grabs the rope. The view from up top there is gorgeous. Sure. Come come up after him. Even though the ladder swings in all directions, the guard gets to the top quickly like a monkey climbing up creepers. You, on the other hand, need to stop and wait for the ladder to calm itself. When you join the man on the wooden platform, you're a bit dizzy. He's leaning on the wooden parapet, observing the area with a smile. Look around. Nice. We can see it all. Turns out right-clicking lets you find the menu. See? There's no place like Howler's Dell. The guard points in every direction, giving you no time to contemplate. For the next few minutes, he describes the fields and their crops, the flocks and the pastures, and the shepherds inspecting the fences, the ancient garden of trees and bushes, larger than the village itself. I mean, it should ought to be. The sunlight dances on the streams to its own tune. If you are to believe everything he describes, this place has access to everything in the abundance. The sweetest honey, the most fragrant bread, the softest wool, and the beer. 'Tis excellent. Sounds like a city merchant is trying to sell you an old house. What an annoying kid. No wonder he's so proud. Why wouldn't he be? They've tamed this scrap of land and live in comfort. Yeah, why not? The islet in the middle of the connects both parts of the village. According to the man, the northern gate is hardly ever opened, as it leads nowhere now. Nowhere. The eastern gate, there's an ape ale inn, yeah, where you can find a bed and victuals, and the stall where Akakios rewards our work, unless we annoy him with pointless talk. He lets out a chuckle. On the opposite side of the creek, there's another white house. It belongs to Bion, the best clothier in the north. The priests live in the southeast, near the wall, but they do not talk to strangers. You also hear about the hunter, the cooper, the fisher, the miller, the pie maker. Nice. Lives with his sister, the baker. Very helpful. The smith and her husband, the carpenter, live with their kids. Wow, she's a smith? Crazy. Strong. Some of the larger buildings could accommodate 2, maybe even 3 generations at once. There could be more than 100 dwellers here. You consider stopping his speech, but he suddenly points to the islet again. You see? There, see? The mayor's coming. The one wearing purple. You're free to join her, traveler. I'll nod and climb down. Thanks for all the info. Very helpful. Try to get down quickly, but 2 steps are enough to make you sure that's a bad idea. You wait for the ladder to find its balance. You're relieved when you touch the ground again. You untie your palfrey and follow the guard. You pass a small pasture surrounded by a wooden fence and a few loose chickens and a tethered boar. The fancier buildings are covered with whitewashed coatings surrounded with vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The bridges are wide enough to carry even a wagon, but for Bucephalus, walking on the wooden beams is far from pleasant. The islet is empty, but you notice an empty stall painted with the shapes of colorful flowers. I'll walk over the second bridge. Along the entire path, you notice more and more people, observing you, smiling, or casually greeting you as they're focused on their own tasks. Finally, they reach the main square. A large tree grows in the center, surrounded by dark water, held together by a thin wall. Perfect for sitting, but the smell coming from the liquid makes you think of rotten eggs. The plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south, next to the swamp altar. Interesting. In the north, you see the Ape Ale Inn. Judging by the tables, stools, and benches outside of it, it's open for guests. The villagers are chatting and dining loudly, and you catch their curious glances. On the side of the dining area, the merchant is arguing with a tall, broad-shouldered worker. An old man is sitting by himself eating a pie with a walking stick, leaning against the table. A young woman is cleaning out empty mugs in the creek, speaking with a man at least twice her age, maybe her father. I need a spot to tether Bucephalus. There's a wide wooden roof right next to the gate that shelters carts, crates, and sacks. You move your mount next to the donkey to a beam placed there just for this purpose. Without a moment of hesitation, Bucephalus starts to chew on the nearby haystack. You have some time to make sure it doesn't struggle with your bundles. You return to the inn. You look for the mayor and approach her. I look for the mayor and approach her. Sure. She's sitting on a chair with a 4-year-old boy on her knees. She's holding his hand gently, showing him how to eat gruel from a bowl. It's not a cheap meal, though. You spot nuts, berries, and milk, and the added honey makes it yellowish. The kid is clean and quiet, and once he notices your arrival, he crams his mouth with a spoonful of oats. Now, love, the mayor titters. Do not get distracted. She rubs the meal off his face. A few more spoons and you'll go help Pop in the kitchen, eh? She gives you a radiant though apologetic smile and turns her attention back to her companion. We'll observe closely. Her long full-sleeve linen dress must have been dyed once in blue and once in red to achieve its dark fancy purple, which would draw looks even in Hovlevan. From her left shoulder hangs a green woolen cape as thin as a shawl. The brown belt on her waist is a large steel buckle that portrays a running deer with unrealistically large antlers growing in all directions like tree branches. Unlike a tribesfolk, she's pale, with powdered and rogued cheeks, and her lips match her outfit, though they're a bit closer to wine red. The thick gray strands of her long blonde hair look more like a fashion choice than a result of aging. Okay. Her eyes are the color of her cape, keen and vigorous. She's shorter than most people around, though she would still be the tallest woman in most of the northern settlements. While she's around 40, her slim hands add fragility to her appearance, even though her posture is upright. Her legs Confidently crossed and her delicate voice assertive, she makes plenty of gestures, but her shoulders hardly ever move. We can just wait. Or shall we just sit down and be friendly? That's fine. Just a moment, please. She glances at you harshly and puts the boy on the ground. I'm sorry, love, but I need to speak with our guest. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that was aggressive, unfortunately. She dresses one of the inn workers. They go close to 15. Take him to father, will you? Her tone suddenly gets firmer, leaving no hint of question or suggestion. Yes, ma, she responds. Both her hair and her eyes are nothing like those of her brother, and neither of those kids resemble their mother. The flowing water hits silently rocks. The wooden stakes surrounding the aisle, but splits into two stream beds. And Hovlavan? The river is surrounded by tall walls, protecting the banks from deterioration, and the water is seldom free of dirt. Here, the smell is as fresh as it would be in the woods. So we have a Roadwarden again. The plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south, next to the swamp altar. I'm sure hungry. My husband will bring us something soon. We're doing alright. I'm not hungry, thanks. I mean, is it rude to refuse? We could eat. It's not gonna hurt anything, I expect. We've got a coin left. Do not mention it. Hunger makes me peevish, and the end of the day is too nice for that. She taps her chest and looks at a flock of birds that fly above you loudly, heading south. As we're waiting, be so good as to help me understand something. Eva, if you're a bit of a mercenary, I can imagine a single reason for you to choose this realm for wardening. Nay, so long after Asterion's disappearance, there's no glory or treasure to find here. Her pale fingers form a tent on her stomach, then clasp, leaving the forefingers pointing at you. You were sent here by the merchants, and they want the peninsula. Well, you ain't wrong. I present Hovlaven's interest as an opportunity. We can still try to be friendly about it. I feel like most of the people who are actually in the business are about the business, which is fine. You introduce yourself and touch the more obvious sides of the potential deal with the guild and the city chief, the troops, their pay, and the patrols would establish. The overview of taxes, trade routes would bring a new life to this place. You sound warm. Try to sound warm. It's a win-win. Throughout your speech, the mayor observes you patiently without interruptions. I see, she finally responds. As she observes your palfrey, she twists her deer buckle left and right, left and right. If it was that simple, I'd be eager to applaud, but it never is that simple, is it? Her eyes fill up with melancholy, despite her smile. I appreciate that you're coming with a carrot, not a stick, but when it comes to the guild, there's always a catch. Her accent is now almost identical to the one used in the city. Yeah, you don't have to trust anyone blindly. I'm sure negotiations can satisfy both sides. We can say that. Oh, I wouldn't dare to trust some coin-hoarding trolls. She laughs at her own joke. They would devour the walls that defend them if they could. True. And I know some of the dirty tricks they use. Here, listen to this one. She theatrically clears her throat, patting her chest with one hand and covering her mouth with another, then leans forward to rest on her elbows, allowing her hands to freely make gestures. You make a deal with a settlement, flour and wool in exchange for coin and tools. You send the first traders, and they imply that you're ready to pay more for, let's say, parchment. Months later, you want no more rye, just the parchment and wool. We can butcher any more mufflons, the locals say. Don't worry, you answer. We'll send you a small flock. Just turn one of your fields into pasturage. As she pretends to speak as different characters, her voice comically shifts, and she has no issue switching between accents. I encourage her with a kind smile. She swings her hand above the table. Another year goes by, and while there's more parchment, the village lacks some crops. The tribe needs not just tools and coins, plenty of coins, but also seeds, and the guild's not satisfied. Sending our wagons costs a lot, and there are more highwaymen now. If you want us to come again, you'll need more mufflons and to sell us their cheese. And guess what? With a haunting laugh, she straightens up and spreads her arms like someone a third her age. Turns out that the village can't say no anymore. They lack supplies, seeds, and land. They can't refuse. I mean, she's right. And it's not better to say anything stupid. Sure. We'll say that one. Pause doesn't linger for long. I see we understand each other. Let's finish the introductions. I'm Thias, one of the innkeepers of the Ape Ale Inn, and the mayor of Howler's Dell. I assume it would be convenient for you to take my answer back to Hovlavan. She wonders for a moment. Say, when could we expect the first caravan? After winter? It depends on what you can sell and what you want in return. While the conversation goes on, the food gets served. The refreshing aroma, nice, toasted, full. Whoa, Much easier for you to overcome physical struggles. Nice. A refreshing aroma of roasted mutton covered with a thick sauce made of mint, parsley, and honey tempts you to bite in right away. The juices are sinking into a round trench or a plate made of simple brown bread. Incredible. There's also a small bowl filled with chopped red radishes and a sliced boiled egg and a mug filled with cold bitter milk. We don't have enough cash for this. It's all brought by a few young people, all of them referring to the mayor as their mother. And in the end, the innkeeper shows himself up to wish you a good meal. He's wearing a clean orange tunic and a not-so-clean apron made of hemp. He politely introduces himself as Eric's, and after confirming you won't get sick from what he prepared, he leaves you to his wife and your conversation. Thias tears into the meat into smaller pieces, then eats slowly, often expressing her enjoyment with a hum. Meanwhile, we get to the important stuff. Explore the peninsula. Updated. Sounds like the nearby ground is fertile. The village would gladly pay its taxes in grain and vegetables with the expectation that a squad of soldiers would provide additional protection. Our youth is strong, she proclaims proudly. So we don't need your guards and on our walls, but a lone Roadwarden won't keep the roads passable. We need fighters willing to patrol the paths, maybe even the heart of the woods. That's what we'd expect in return. You're not an expert when it comes to linen, cheese, and wool, so the mayor spends a good couple of minutes describing the outstanding quality of what the village has to offer, especially the clothes, which are meant to be as unique as those made by Master Crispus. They do seem quite good, after all. You vaguely recognize the name of this tailor shoemaker, but you've never earned enough pay for him as much as a single sleeve. And of course, we never reject some steel and bronze. We like alloys for sickles and scythes. She then repeats her question about starting a trade route. Truth be told, the guild is not sure what the peninsula has to offer. It would take more than your village to convince them. Understandable, but you won't find much in the other tribes. They barely have enough to survive, even after the trade of our crops, for we have the only decent soil in this realm. At least the people of Gale Rocks have salt and barrels of fish, while Creeks sells meat and wood. Actually, if you haven't been to Creeks yet, the farthest village in the northeast, you could give them a chance. She nods with a smile. They could use your help in keeping the roads safe. White Marshes, on the other hand, as well as Old Pagos, are close to worthless, for a trade route, that is. She clears her throat. After these words, she stands up, walks to another table, and offers her trencher to an elderly man who sits there by himself. With a trembling voice, he thanks her, and then starts to chew on the soggy bread. She sits down, wipes her hand into a clean cloth, adjusts the folds of her cape, and once again crosses her legs. So tell me again, how's Hope of Lavine? I haven't gathered much news since the invasion. The harbor's full of life, and the kids grow strong. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. Not everyone has their own bed, but the new generation is starting their own fight. It's far from great. Children who lost their parents during the war have no trade in hand, and there are not enough settlements to send them away. Many people are unable to prosper. Well, that's a good question, since we don't really know. I guess this is about the most middling. And I was afraid it was lost to hunger. Her chuckle is trimmed with scorn. Good to know I was wrong. When the invasion started, some merchants were cheering in their houses, happy that they would sell out at the blades, all the blades and the food they had stored. Can you believe it? This panic will make us rich, she imitates the voice of a pompous man. That's why the southerners reached the villages. They found almost nothing to eat, she sighs. Staying in a remote peninsula can truly can be a blessing. She pauses, hesitating to go on, and shakes her head slightly. Well, we can't change the past. How can I help you, Gam? Let's see. I was appealed to the north. The innkeeper feels uneasy about Glaucia's band. We can start with this. And end with this. When you mentioned the raids in the northern villages, her eyes narrow. Are you sure? It was the first I've heard about it. Glaucia has been around since years back, but she's not much of a nuisance. I'm just a messenger who's asking for you to join forces with him. Well, I can't give you my answer. I won't ask our hunters to endanger their lives for the pursuit of some gossip. I could ask around, learn more about this. She sighs with exaggerated relief. What a splendid idea. There are only 3 villages in the north. White Marshes, further north by the western road, Gale Rocks by the northern coast, and Creeks in the far east. Bring me news from these places and you'll get my answer. Okie dokie. I'm paid for passing the message from here to Pelt of the North. Asking me to ride through half a day peninsula and back is a different deal entirely. Well, that's true. Should we ask for a bit of something? We have 1 coin to our name, but we do have a full belly. Good question. Should set a brief chuckle, but eyes observe you carefully. And how much are you being paid, can I ask? We will tell. And I'll pay you another 2 fair. Fair? I wonder, back to Hovleban. Do you spend any time in the backwood corner? It used to be this dark, dirty alley with muggers working even in daylight. I stayed there with Octavia, the miller, in exchange for doing chores for her. She had this small wooden hut. A home for thugs. You wouldn't recognize it. It's now a respectable street. One of the fanciest streets in the city, the Apple and the Boar. It would make you feel like you're in the old days. The Boarhead Inn is almost 50 years old now. No such street anymore. It fell in the Great Fire. I have no idea which one of these is correct, so maybe we're actually choosing what is correct? Backwood corner. Dark, dirty alley. It seems most likely that it would just burn. A respectable street. Unlikely. This is probably the most likely. Things have gotten worse. Well, this is probably the most likely, to be fair. We'll say it's not really changed. Explain them while the place is still called the bad part of the city. The Boarhead makes a good coin selling beer and ale to students, mercenaries, and adventurers. The whole land may turn wild one day. You quote one of the local traders, but Backwood Corner will stay the same. She sighs with relief and puts her left hand on her hip, comforting. Don't you think that there are these places, these dark corners where you can always find what you expect? Living there, though? That sounds awful. Always was. She chuckles. I bet their thugs of my youth are no longer around, so I wouldn't count on them giving me a free pass. But I wish I could have a chance to drink a mug or two with the innkeeper once more. The old lady was always too good to stay in that muck. Okay, interesting. We can talk briefly about the village in the south. Her tense gaze shifts to an awkward click to her tongue as she leans away from you. I don't even want to think about that tragic fate. No one can negotiate with the wrath of the herds. A long pause. And I'd better not find you upsetting my neighbors with these sad questions. It was a challenging time for all of us, and we won't forget. Okay. We'll not worry too much about it then. I don't want to ask about this one. This was a bit rude. Let's see. And I think we've come to terms about this one, so we can ask about necromancers, Howler's Dell. It is what it seems like. The greatest village in the far north. She raises her hand and makes an inviting gesture. Though I hope to still improve this and that. She winks at you, but is suddenly interrupted by the pained cry of a little boy who hurt his knee during a fall. As Musilda tries to calm him down, the mayor shrugs it off and titters, then meets her eyes again. Life's good here. We have what we need, and a lot of what we want. Building on top of more than 12 generations of hard work and bravery. She spends a good few minutes telling you about Malfrons, why, Reet. Okay, so we're talking the day away, that's fine. Rye, hemp, cheese, wool. Proud of every glimpse of prosperity. Whenever she mentions an artisan, shepherd, or farmer, she doesn't miss the chance to mention how significantly she improved their conditions. She also omits some topics. You hear no tales of songs, ancestors, rituals, or days of prayer. It's like listening to a tax collector. Only at the very end of her speech does she mention how she mentions the wisdom of the elders, now kept in the teaching of the druids who help her guide those who trust her. They heal our wounds in our gardens, she explains, but then changes the topics to all of the fruit trees, hares, and nuts in the woods. When she's done with it, I nod politely. Okay. Tell me, how do people dress in the city these days? Is it similar to what we have here? Before the war, the merchants were wearing these really long dresses and robes. Way too long for my taste. They got mud stains on every rein. I see no reason to keep the shoes completely hidden. Not anymore. There's always a shortage of fabric. Most people wear tunics like in the old days. For years, there was not enough hemp and wool at hand, so people started to wear furs again. As long as I can tell, many folks wear headgear. I'm not too sure. I don't pay too much attention to fashion. We can suggest that there's a shortage of fabric. They'll love that sort of thing, right? If that's actually the case, and they do some trades for fabric, and they're not too fussed about furs. Because if these people make fabric, then that's some brisk trade, eh? At least we can hope that the visitors arrive. They won't stand out much. She laughs, but also adjusts her dress, drawing attention to its superb quality. And who knows, maybe our little villagers can help those unfortunate clothiers. I'm sure we could spare a couple of sheets of fabric. Nice. Hopefully that's the case. Let's see. Have you heard of the necromancers in the north? She taps her fingers on the table. Yes, I have. After you ask her to tell you more, she seems to regain her confidence. You mean White Marshes, for sure. I don't know all that much about what's happening there. We avoid their lands if we can, she frowns. I shouldn't gossip about it with strangers. We can talk about it on another occasion. Okay, that's fine. Then finally we'll finish with this. She stares you in the eyes, then turns towards Bucephalus. Is your palfrey a mare? We have 2 jacks. Could use some mules. so it wouldn't give you anything stronger than Hinny. I don't know what that is. Just trying to... I see. Well, Bucephalus is a male. In the lore. So I've heard. Eyes wander over the square. You could probably tell that at a glance, though. The small donkey bellies bring weak offspring to horses. Her pale fingers reach for her own stomach. When her eyes return to you, they regain their sharpness. I'd rather avoid long talks about that man. Let him remain as a part of the past sprung. Since you're asking about him, I can only assume he was indeed sharing his goal with you. I won't deny that. Yet you're already different from him. I like it when travelers don't try to sell me bluegrass. Seeing your frown, she waves it off. It's just a saying. His words were stronger than his deeds, and he's no longer welcome here. What are his wrongdoings? If you have to know, he failed and won't get a second chance. He was meant to escort Aegidia, a daughter of mine, to be betrothed in Gale Rocks. She was a great archeress. And the road from here to the coast is not that dangerous. When they saw goblins on the road, Asterion ordered her to push through, right into their trap. She touches her deer-shaped buckle. They got the jump like a bunch of wealthy pilgrims. A Roadwarden worth their gruel should have known it better. He can fight with a blade, but my girl, she never had a chance. She sighs and looks at the gate. He disappeared soon after his pitiful attempt at apologizing to me. We closed our doors to him, behind him for good. I'll let you know if he ever tries to return. Let's see. Did you ever find your daughter? For a few breaths, her green eyes seek something in your face. Her words are carefully yet hesitant. She's with the fogs now. The goblins were after food, so they carried her shell away. One day, she's going to charge at our walls, awoken with an empty. Even though she was a bit mawkish, her heart was strong and patient. She listened to our people and was ready to help them and cry with them. I could tell you stories, but what for? Let the dead rest. Fair enough. Any ideas where I can look for him? She adjusts her cape with an annoying shrug. Try asking for him in the north. He spent most of his time between the marshes, Gale Rocks, and creeks. Here, he wasn't eager to share his plans. You've got quite a big family. She titters weakly. At one point, there were 12 kids living in our house, 9 girls, 3 boys. They come and go, as it should be. A few have already left, and a few are already with the forest, I see. But most are tall and grown now, even started their own families. She looks away at her girls, wiping spilled milk with a wet cloth. To be perfectly clear, they aren't exactly our children. It's customary of a village for the mayor to look after the orphans. Thankfully, Eric's has a big heart and a much more patience than I do. She speaks, her smile widens. Why'd you let him leave? Why hold him, I guess. Thanks for the help. We talk and talk, but I still don't know where you're from, Gam. What's your story? Have you lived in Hovelland all your entire life? I guess we get to decide. In a way, I know it as well as other city folk, but every spring I train in horsemanship in a nearby village. Nice. Only for a bit. I was raised in a small village just nearby. Moved to the city after I decided to look for luck as a Roadwarden. My past is already buried. Let's not dig into it. While this is most likely for us, this could maybe give us something? In a way, I know it as well as other city folk, but every spring I train in horsemanship in a nearby village. Because then maybe we can ride better and we'll pass some horsey checks. Good old Bucephalus. We've been together since the beginning, more or less. Because this seems a bit raised in a small village nearby and moved to the city after I decided to look for luck as a Roadwarden. I mean, maybe we did decide this, but like we have like a rocky past or something. Maybe we lived in that alley, lol. In a way, we'll say this. I was just about to ask about it. I couldn't imagine someone building a stable and a paddock in a place where you can't squeeze a single new house. Your accent is very city-like. Like that of a merchant. Okay. Well, we'll just think for a time then. You're in front of the Apel Inn. Okay, we've already spoken to the mayor quite a good deal. We can speak to the trader. We've got nothing in particular to trade. Even though the counter stands outdoors, it's not rotten or dirty, and you guess that, like other furniture, it's brought inside every night. Eric's approaches you with a smile and leans on its surface with his fists. He's portly and even taller than his neighbors. He's got freckles, short gray hair, and an elegant beard. His long woolen orange tunic is a decorative cut right under the neck, and loose braids at the edges. How can I help you, traveler? His accent is heavy. Nothing like his wife's. He stomps with a heavy boot and looks around as if he's just waiting to get back to his other tasks. His fingers are still dirty from weeding the garden. Any rumors to share? Rumors? Not really. I have my own things to worry about. Neighbors keep their own company. Better for everyone to seek help from my wife. or the forest speakers. Ne in a Melga Vale. Fair enough. So no rumors, but maybe you've heard about someone who could need my help. Seems good. Say it as if we expect travelers to get here any day now. I'll ask around. Come tomorrow. Okay, sounds good. I've only got 1 coin. Have you had any Estring guests recently? I do not know. He scratches his beard. There was one vagabond, but he wasn't here for long, and he didn't do much. A timid fellow, talks loudly, but is afraid of everything, especially his guards. His face touched by the flames has a big ballista. He says a word with a strange accent, smirking, and a large bird as his beast of burden. I do not know what to say. He shrugs. He went south, and is most likely gone. Holy smokes. Alright, well thanks. We'll speak briefly to the trader as well. The man behind the counter is inspecting a sack of white flour, mumbling to himself and occasionally cursing. The other locals walk away, giving you space to trade in peace. Alright, weevils. Points at a dark blue insect trying to flee. Shit me fire. 'Twas ground a few days ago. Ne pies for us tomorrow, looks like. Weevils in the wheat. Puts the sack on the ground. I'll take care of it later. A Roadwarden and I, Ava the mayor, cared enough to see you. And kids are lining up to look at your horse. Strangers are like ghosts to them now. He was wearing a simple brown robe with no hood, a rope instead of a belt, a modest trim made of green thread. It barely reaches below his knees, revealing sandals and crude pants made of linen. At the same time, it's way too large for him and hangs from him like a bag. Sure, he looks like a poor vendor from Hovelavan. He stands sideways to you with legs crossed, leaning on his counter with one hand keeping the other one at his hip. He's around 40, short and a bit greasy, with a humble beard and hair, and his fingers are unusually long. Interesting. Shall we be distanced? All business? People seem to say he was an all business sort of man. Shall we be friendly and cordial? Not playful, I expect. Nor intimidating, nor vulnerable. He seems like what's the word? An ascetic. Doesn't particularly care for the pleasures of life. Okay, we can be neutral to start, I suppose. Standing sideways to us. Yep. Looking for a trader. A trader, I assume. Guess we'll see each other often. You found him. You won't find much of a marketplace here, but you're in the right spot. Everyone brings here what they have in abundance, and I sell it to travelers or divide it among the workers, builders, artisans. The things here are not mine. He runs his eyes over the crates and barrels, and I would call myself a master trader. I'm just Akakios, but I can show you our wares if you want. He smiles gently and looks toward your pouch. Our shelves are getting covered in dust. We could use some dragon rings or treasures. My neighbors would look at you with a kind eye if you were to bring them new how you say commercy? Commerce. Yeah, commercy. Sure. He grins. Exactly. Sure. I don't need furniture or barrels of food. Do you have anything used for travelers? I don't really have goods to sell those, unfortunately. And we may need our last coin for a room. Do you need help? I could use a job. There you go. That's what we need. You know what? There's something urgent. I need a medicament from my daughter. Not that she's hurt or anything. He raises open palms as if to show you that he's not holding a knife. She's a teen, wants to start hunting in the woods. I cannot teach her much, but I can sleep better with her having a healing potion. You have, he hesitates, almost 9 days. Bring me the potion before the last dusk, and I'll pay you 5 dragons. Where can I find such a potion? I can think of 2 places. They say for about Old Pagos on the mountain of the crazy monks. Crazy and boring, more boring than a Mafroan, but they often brew with Numa. You can also head south, east of the crossroads behind Pelt of the North. I've never been there myself, but you can find a dolmen there, as old as the city, and this, he reaches for his clinking pouch and pulls out some massive iron key, is meant to open some secret passage there. Oh my gosh, okay. How do you know about that secret? From a merchant. She's from south from the Hag Hills, so I was meant to pass the key to her friend, but he never showed up. I see. I've just been keeping this key at your store ever since? Well, he's an honest man. I've kept it with my trinkets and coins, that's all. We're planning to go there for years, but 'tis one of those things you talk about, and they do it. His brief laughter turns into a cough. Fair enough, fair enough. A strong elixir would be worth more than 5 coins? I don't know. It doesn't have to be strong. Fine, I'll look for it. Good, he smiles. Anything else? What can you tell me about Asterion? Ever thought he was here more than once? I don't know. He didn't leave much behind. Smelly hoarder. Same. Same, to be fair. He looks around and spits on the ground. At least he bought a blade from me. Do you remember what blade it was? Sure, 'twas a special one, a sickle sword, with a tip wider than 'twas at the grip, long as from fingertips to shoulder. Interesting. Nay, a sword, nay, a knife, single-edged. Brought long as from fingertips to shoulder? Full arm length? I don't know, that's a sword to me, bud. Nay, a knife, single-edged. So wait. Okay, I think I get it. Brought his own steel to melt for it. Oh, interesting. What's it for? Fencing? No. Cutting bushes. Yeah, it's like a machete. Creepers, roots. It will ne fell a tree, but 'tis a fine tool. He nods to a passerby, but the smile disappears as quickly as it had shown up. Pathfinders use it. My pa used to have one as well. He chopped nuts with it. Nuts and mufflins. So he took it to the wilderness. He shrugs. Pretty much anywhere. There are hills from here to the coast, and bogs in the north. In the heart of the woods can help you with it. Alright, well. Nothing for now. We'll walk away. We've got another task. Oh my gosh. So there's so much. So much. And the day wanes. But our time is also done. A very interesting and slow-paced game. And we've barely scratched the surface. There's a bazillion things to do. So if you like text-based lore adventure games, you might consider looking into this. Of course, it's on the Humble Bundle. So if you're into this month's Humble, you can pick that up from the Humble Choice. But you can also just pick it up on Steam. Again, about $11 US, if you're into that sort of thing. Maybe check it out. But for now, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, friends, keep on cooperating. Bye.